38 films, a dozen shows, 18 years. You are not going to watch all of that before December. You don't have to. Almost none of it matters for Doomsday. What matters is about 6 things, and I can give you all 6 in the next 12 minutes with no spoilers for the new film because nobody has seen it yet. Let's start at the only place that makes sense, the end of the last big one. Six stones, made when the universe was made. Space, mind, reality, power, time, and soul. Whoever holds all 6 can rewrite existence. That's the plot of 11 years of movies. Everything else is characters. The characters you need: Tony Stark, a billionaire weapons engineer who builds himself a suit of armor and becomes Iron Man. Steve Rogers, a soldier from the Second World War, frozen for 70 years, thawed out into a world he doesn't recognize. Thor, a prince from Asgard with a hammer and a serious brother problem. Bruce Banner, a scientist who turns into the Hulk when he loses his temper. Natasha Romanoff, a spy. Clint Barton, an archer. A man named Nick Fury pulls them into a team. They stop an alien invasion of New York. That's the Avengers, 2012. Then it goes wrong in stages. Tony builds an artificial intelligence to protect the world, and it decides the world is the problem. That's Ultron. Out of that fight comes Vision, an android with the Mind Stone in his forehead. Then the team splits over whether they should answer to governments. Steve and Tony stop speaking. That's Civil War. And while they're fighting each other, Thanos is collecting the stones. He gets all 6. He snaps his fingers. Half of every living thing in the universe turns to dust. 5 years pass. The survivors work out how to travel through time, steal the stones from the past, and undo it. That's Endgame. And it costs them. Natasha dies to get the Soul Stone. Tony Stark uses the stones himself to erase Thanos and his army, and the power kills him. And Steve Rogers goes back in time to return the stones, and doesn't come back. He stays in the past. He lives a whole life. He comes home as an old man, and hands the shield to his friend Sam Wilson. Hold on to those 2, because they matter more than anything else here. Tony Stark is dead. Steve Rogers gave it up and grew old. Now the part most people skipped. This is the part that actually sets up Doomsday. During the time heist, a version of Loki from 2012 grabs the Tesseract and escapes. He's arrested by an organization called the TVA, the Time Variance Authority. Their job is to keep history on a single approved path. Anything that branches off, they delete. Loki finds out who's been running it, a man who calls himself He Who Remains. His warning is simple. There used to be countless universes. They went to war. He ended that war and locked reality into one timeline to stop it happening again. If you kill him, the branches grow back, and so does the war. They kill him, so the multiverse reopens. And here's the mechanic the whole endgame rests on: an incursion. When 2 universes drift into each other, they collide, and both are destroyed. Not damaged, destroyed. That's introduced in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where Strange visits a universe that's already dead from one. Meanwhile, Spider-Man, No Way Home. Strange casts a spell to make the world forget Peter Parker's identity. It cracks open and pulls in people from other realities, 2 other Spider-Men, villains from films made decades ago, proof that all of it is connected now. Then Ant-Man Quantumania introduces Kang the Conqueror, a warlord trapped in the quantum realm. He's beaten, but he tells them there are countless versions of him, and they're worse. By the end of Loki Season 2, Loki himself takes the throne of time. He sits at the center and physically holds the branching timelines together. The multiverse survives, but it survives because one exhausted god is holding it in place. That's not stable. That's a held breath. And Deadpool and Wolverine confirms the rest of the machinery. The TVA is still watching. Dying universes are a routine event, and characters from 20 years of other Marvel films are on the board. So who fights this? Almost nobody you remember. Captain America is Sam Wilson now. No serum, just a wingsuit, a shield, and nerve. His film introduces a new metal called adamantium, pulled out of a dead celestial in the Indian Ocean. Remember that name? The New Avengers. A collection of leftovers and government mistakes. Yelena Belova, Natasha's sister. Bucky Barnes. A Soviet-era super soldier called Red Guardian. Ghost. John Walker, the man who failed at being Captain America. and Bob, a man carrying a power called the Sentry and a shadow inside it called the Void. They get rebranded as Avengers by a politician who wants the brand. Their story ends with a warning. 14 months later, a ship enters Earth's atmosphere. It's carrying the symbol of a team that doesn't exist here, because the Fantastic Four aren't from our universe. Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, Ben Grimm, they live on a different Earth, a retro-futuristic one, and they've already beaten Galactus, a being that eats planets. Sue and Reed have a son, Franklin, and that child may be the most powerful thing in any reality. Their story ends with a man in green and steel standing in front of that child, reaching for him. And the X-Men, mutants, never part of this world's story until now. The film brings back the actors who played them in a completely separate film series, which tells you these are people from another universe entirely, arriving here. Add Thor, Loki, Wakanda's Shuri and M'Baku, Namor of Talokan, Shang-Chi, Peggy Carter, and Steve Rogers. The official synopsis says heroes from 3 distinct universes are set on a collision course. That's the incursion. That's the whole film. Which brings us to him, Victor Von Doom. In the comics, he's the ruler of a small European country called Latveria. He's a scientist on Reed Richards' level and a sorcerer at the same time. That combination doesn't exist anywhere else. He wears the armor because his face was scarred and because a king should be seen. And the thing that makes him work? He is not trying to destroy the world. He's trying to save it, and he genuinely believes he's the only one competent enough to do it. Everyone else is an amateur playing with reality. He is going to fix it, and he does not care what it costs, and he will not apologize. The strange part is who's playing him. The actor who played Tony Stark for 11 years, returning as the villain. Marvel hasn't explained why, and I'd be careful with anyone who tells you they know. It might be a version of Tony from a dead universe. It might be Doom wearing that face deliberately as a weapon. It might mean nothing at all in the story. That's a theory, not a fact, and I'm labeling it as one. What we do know is where it's going. In the comics, in the story called Secret Wars, Doom watches the multiverse collapse, and when reality ends, he takes the power for himself and builds a single patchwork world out of the fragments and rules it as a god. The sequel to this film is called Avengers, Secret Wars. Draw your own conclusion. So if you're catching up, here's the honest list. Watch these 5. Infinity War, Endgame, Loki, both seasons, Thunderbolts, The Fantastic Four, First Steps. That's roughly 15 hours, and it's genuinely enough. These 4 make it richer. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, for the incursion. No Way Home, for how the multiverse feels. Captain America Brave New World, for Sam. Deadpool and Wolverine, for the TVA. And everything else is optional. WandaVision, Wakanda Forever, Shang-Chi, Quantumania, Brand New Day. Great films, most of them. Not required. If you have one evening, watch Endgame, then Thunderbolts, then Fantastic Four. That's the spine. 3 questions to carry in with you. How does Steve Rogers come back young? What does Doom want with Franklin Richards? And when 3 universes collide, which one is supposed to survive? Avengers. Doomsday is out on the 18th of December.